السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا الدين القويم وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله خير نبي اجتباه وهدى ورحمة للعالمين أرسله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم يا رب تسليما كثيرا. وبعد، يقول الله تعالى في محكم تنزيله في سورة القصص الآية 5 بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين ونمكن لهم في الأرض ونري فرعون وهامان وجنودهما منهم ما كانوا يحذرون. صدق الله العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us today from Surah Al-Qasas, Surah number 28, verse number 5. Surah 28, verse number 5, Allah says, "But it was our will to bestow our favor upon those very people who were deemed so utterly low in the land, and to make them forerunners in faith, and to make them inheritors to Pharaoh glory." My dear brother and sister, today we'll be talking about Pharaoh. Pharaoh, the biggest dictator, the biggest name in the Quran. We want to talk about his story in order to, in a way, to talk about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed that dictator and that story, and how is that story is going to be repeated day after day, year after year, century after century. Dictators are coming in, leaving this life. So we want to learn something from the Quran about that, and please, even if I don't make referral to a certain name, try to take the concept, try to take the name, try to take the story, and try to apply it on our times. I may not necessarily mean one single dictator, but it's going to be drawn on dictators that will come across us. So at the time that the mothers were crying their little babies, that Pharaoh that Pharaoh, you know when we say Pharaoh, who we are talking about? Pharaoh, the one who killed the Israelites in the Old, in the Old Testament, in the Old story. Pharaoh, the dictator who said, I am the only God, and he was persecuting his people. Pharaoh. Okay. So when mothers were crying and weeping about the loss of their dear ones, kids and children and siblings, the decision, the divine decision from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was under writing or under, being executed up in heaven against or opposite to what people were wishing. There was pain, there was suffering, there was killing, and the decision came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this verse, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. It was our will to bestow our favor upon those very people who were deemed so utterly low in the land. The decision made, people did not know, did not realize. People were looking for, we want an immediate relief. We want an immediate peace. We want an immediate victory. But yet, that did not happen according to the wish of people. It's going to happen to the wisdom and the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How did that happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Musa, Prophet Musa. And then he saved him from being slaughtered, being killed. Remember when Musa was born, Pharaoh had his fortune teller telling him that there will be a newborn baby who will grow up and destroy your kingdom. So Pharaoh, according to that, fortune telling, he started killing all the newborn babies. And in a way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Prophet Musa. So Prophet Musa was born in the year that Pharaoh was not killing. Because people told him, his cabinet told him, if you keep killing those little newborn babies, then very soon you will have no babies, then your nation will be short and you will not have young people. Nobody is going to serve and work. So he was killing 1 year and he was saving 1 year. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the creation of Musa in the year that it was not the killing. Then, after he saved him from being killed, we know the story. I'm just skipping part of that story because this is not our story. And Allah made Musa to grow up in the palace of Pharaoh himself. In a certain scenario, Pharaoh did not have children. His wife found Musa thrown in the water. She took him, she adopted him, she grew him, considered him as, adopted him in a way that this is the one that we will grow. And she grew him in the palace of Pharaoh. Musa, the prophet of that time, he wasn't prophet, he was a baby. But that man of that time in the palace was grown up in the palace of the most tyrant and dictator, of the one who was saying, I am the only Lord. And Allah took care of all the upbringing, all the care, all the education, all the teaching, all the psychology, all the faith of Prophet Musa by taking care of him in that way. And then Musa had a certain test, certain challenges, where he killed accidentally one of the two people were fighting, one from the Israelite and the one from the Copts, which is the other ethnicity in Egypt at that time. So he boxed that one and accidentally he killed him. So that was an accident one, yet Allah saved him and pushed him out of the city to go and look for some refuge and some shelter. And Allah took care of him, took care of Musa outside of that city. Then he invited him to the Mount Sinai to tell him that you are the prophet, you are going to be the prophet of this time. And you will be taking care of the Israelites, the children of Israel, and you are the prophet for them. And then he sent him with that message against the dictator Pharaoh with two main points. And I'm just quoting from the Quran, and I'm telling the story from the Quran. He gave him the message, you are the prophet, and part of your message not only to guide the Israelites to the right faith and to worship me, but also to go to that dictator who is claiming I am the only God on earth. Go and address him with those 2 points. First point, to guide him to worship Allah, to recognize Allah as the Creator. وَأَهْدِيَكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَتَخْشَى. In Surah Al-Nazi'at, the ayah, وَأَهْدِيَكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَتَخْشَى, so I will guide you. That's the first point to tell Pharaoh. And the second one, تَحْرِيرُ الْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ, to relieve and release and help and empower those weak people who were underneath him, who were the Israelites. Because Musa in the Quran said to Pharaoh, أرسل معنا بني إسرائيل ولا تعذبهم. Leave the Israelites, leave the children of Israel alone, send them with me, and don't torture them. Stop torturing them. I will take care of them. So these 2 ones. Pharaoh refused and declined. And actually, he challenged Musa by, let's have a battle and a combat between my Lord and your Lord, or between me as the Lord and between your Lord. And he claimed his statement, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى, I am the supreme and highest Lord for all of you. Then it was the day of the celebration that they had in Egypt at that time, every year, once a year. Most likely it is the day of Nehru's, the beginning of the springtime. But regardless, it was that specific day where Pharaoh took advantage of that day and he started calling one by one of those famous magicians, people who can be a challenger to Musa. And we know that part of the story, that Musa was victorious in that battle, in that challenge. Yet Pharaoh did not get back, did not stop, did not, decline or stop from his claim. And he continued in his abuse and oppression. And he killed, and he crucified people, and he threatened, and he came back to killing the children one more time. Killing children and women. And those mustad'afin, those weak people in the past, they came back to him, to Musa. They came back to him and they told him, أُوذِينَا مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ تَأْتِينَا وَمِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جِئْتَنَا. We are harmed, we are tortured before you came to us, and now after you came to us. And nothing changed. The situation did not change. The harm, the persecution is happening every day. So you did not, meaning that you did not do any good for us. Your promise, your help did not do anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then intervened in a light kind of punishment. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ أَخَذْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ بِالسِّنِينَ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَذَّكَّرُونَ. We have caused Pharaoh and his people, Egypt of that time, the biggest area, the biggest region, we have caused them in some kind of drought season, dry season. So no crops, no water, and lots of hardships in their life. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَذَّكَّرُونَ, on the hope that they will, or he will, return and reflect and stop from his transgression. But he refused and declined. And although Musa told him, this has been caused by my Lord, by Allah, because you are doing 1, 2, 3, 4. And he continued with his dictatorship. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stepped in again and brought that punishment that took all the soldiers, Pharaoh and his soldiers, all those who were capable to carry weapons, took them and drowned them in the water. فَلَمَّا آسَفُونَا, when they were challenging and declining and rejecting us, انتقمنا منهم. We took revenge on them. فأغرقناهم أجمعين. So we drowned them all together. This is the story, my dear brother and sister. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might have a decision, because this was not put in the Quran for me and you to read it and make a beautiful voice when we recite the Quran and just say a story, then full stop, everybody goes home. No. This has been put in the Quran for a reason, for a wisdom, for a lesson. Because Allah said in the Quran, مَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We have not left any single dots, any single comma, any single letter in the Quran haphazardly, like for nothing. Everything is being written and revealed for a reason, for a lesson, for something. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled His decision that the weak people at that time, they were saying, when would this happen? When would this happen? You know how many years it took between their persecution and the time when Allah sent Musa to Pharaoh, when He told him, you are the prophet, you go to Pharaoh? It was 40 years. 40 years. Which means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the vending machine, but it's not according to you. You put your quarter, you get the water from the bottom. Allah has His own way, His own system, His own program to that vending machine. You put your quarter, but you wait for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have that decision fulfilled. Allah could easily send Jibreel and send the Malaika and save the children of Israel. But that is not the way Allah works. It's not the way me and you want things to happen. Allah has to create, and in His course, for Musa to be born in a 9-month term, and to grow up with all the challenges, and to meet the test and suffering sometimes until he was ready, after he had his 10 years with Shu'aib, Prophet Shu'aib. Finally, He invited him to the Mount Sinai and He told him. So Allah prepared things. And this is an indication, this is a lesson for us. Nothing is going to happen when you say, oh Allah, give me $10, $10 right there on your table. It doesn't work that way. Oh Allah, I am asking you, I'm begging you, day and night for children. You are not married. You are not married. How will you get children? Oh Allah, I'm looking, please help me with a good income. But you are not educated. And your degree, your high school degree or undergrad degree is not going to give you more than certain amount. You have to work, you have to prepare yourself. Allah is teaching us in this story that when they were under suffering, He made that decision, that I am going to save you and help you. But it's going to be through my way. Now we have the suffering happening in the whole world, specifically in Gaza, and now in Lebanon, and the rest of the world. What is the story? What is the lesson? Yes, there is suffering. And yes, there are scenes that we cannot keep our eyes, on the TV watching what is happening. Is that going to continue? Allah knows. But our hope is that not. Is that going to be long? Allah knows. The only one who knows. But our hope, according to that story, because they have been proven to be weak and to be persecuted, and to pass the challenges they are in, and we are very hopeful that the decision would have been made up in heaven, that Allah is going to make them victorious. The next ayah, because the next ayah says, وَأَوْرَثْنَا الْقَوْمَ الَّذِينَ كَانُوا يُسْتَضْعَفُونَ مَشَارِقَ الْأَرْضِ وَمَغَارِبَهَا الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا. In ayah number 6, the following ayah of that one, after Allah destroyed, Allah said, and we have given in inheritance, meaning we have made them own the properties of their enemy and own the land east and west that they were persecuted in. And we have flipped up the situation and make them victorious and make them the owners. And we have blessed that land, my dear brothers and sisters. So even if you are watching the news or listening to the news, please don't be in the situation of being stressed or depressed or pessimistic. Be hopeful, because the whole world is still under the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have you ever doubted that the sun is going to rise every day? Anybody has any doubt, or once in his life he doubted that the sun is going to rise tomorrow or the sun is not going to rise tomorrow? No. Why? Well, this is nature. No, this is not nature. This is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala running the whole world. We don't see the big picture. Right now we are focusing on that suffering, and yes, it is suffering. It is awful suffering. But is there a hope? Yes. As long as we are breathing, there is a hope. As long as we have the intention to change something, there is a hope. As long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the day of judgment, is not happened yet, there is a hope. There is a big hope, and this is what Quran is teaching us. This story is not to entertain you. This story is to build the hope in you, inshallah. Inshallah ta'ala. My dear brother and sister, there is a question, there is a condition. There is a condition for that to happen, is that our ummah, those who are weak, but I'm not talking now just about Gaza. Gaza people has proven to be, may Allah not hold me accountable to what I'm going to say. They have proven to be that they are beyond any fix, beyond any improvement. They are the best of the best of what we have heard about strong faith, about determination, about wisdom, about standing for the truth, about attaching and linking with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His way, about honoring the book of Allah, honoring those who are reciting and memorizing the Quran, and working day and night to be as straight people as possible. They have proven that to be. So I have, from my side, from my humble little side, I have no doubt that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a certain decision for them. But it's not going to happen unless the rest of the ummah, because Muslims are not nations like Muslims are Gaza, Muslims are Syrian, Muslims are Palestinian. No, Muslims are one ummah, one body. Until that, the rest of that body go through the taqwa, the proper taqwa and righteousness and the fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go through the right faith. Apply Islam as a whole package, not pick and choose. And suffer and maintain their status of Iman. Until then, the decision being made, but how long is going to take to be put now into action, that is on the by the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can make it sooner, we can make it later, as much as we are going to change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُم. If you change, if you decline, if you give a deaf ear, if you don't commit, if you are in a status of accepting what's going on and all the atrocities you see on TV is just norm, this is going to be normal day after day, you switch the channel. If you are going to be in that attitude, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make istibdal, will replace you with a nation who are much better than you. Okay, so what's the problem? We will live our term. This is not the attitude. If you are going to be witnessing a crime or atrocity and you don't stand up for the truth, you don't try to help in changing that truth, you are partner of it. You are partner. We are all partner of it. وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. Allah will replace you right away. ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. They won't be like you, they will be much better than you. So that is the condition for this story to be applied and to get the immediate, inshallah, nasr and victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear brother and sister, a few analysis for that story of Pharaoh I would like also to shed the light on. If it wasn't the Quran telling us about the story of Pharaoh in the Quran, we could be today studying the story of Pharaoh as a hero who was fighting the terrorists. Brother in the back, please come forward. We have lots of places here. Please come to the front. Come to the front. Come to the front. Make effort. Again, I will repeat that for all of us to understand and catch what I'm saying. If the Quran did not tell us about Pharaoh and what happened with Musa, the story could be fabricated in a way that the good people is Pharaoh and the bad people are those who are opposing him. And this is happening now. This is happening now. The wrong guy is becoming the right guy, and the right guy is becoming the wrong guy. This is happening now. It was the policy and the strategy of Pharaoh to spread the disunity and sectarianism between the Coptic and the children of Israel, and not to have them get on one faith and on one solid religion, so they can dispute and keep struggling and fighting, and he will be taking advantage of this. Divide and conquer. That is the statement of all dictators and all the aggressors. Divide and conquer, because when you unite, I'm in big trouble. But when I can make 5-10 groups of you, I can play your cards easily. Another one, people are not excused by having a light mind. People are not excused by having a light mind, meaning that, oh, I did not expect that deep or that much. Oh, I didn't really, my intellect did not get to that point that he was planning this to do that. This naivety is not an excuse and is not accepted in Islam. It's not accepted in the Quran. Allah gave us the mind in order to think and reflect and solve our problem with this. Not to be a follower and submitter and just blindly following Pharaoh. They have to think. They have to think right. If it wasn't for their right mind, he wouldn't take care. Pharaoh wouldn't take advantage of their right mind. وَأَضَلَّ فِرْعَوْنُ قَوْمَهُ وَمَا هَدَى. He misguided them, and he did not guide them. But he misguided them. Where are you? Where is your intellect? Well, Imam, this is, I heard it from the media. Okay, I heard it from the media. 100 million heard it from the media. Where is your mind? Where is your cross information? Where is your cross information? Who told you? Even the Quran wouldn't approve that you submit your life and your understanding and your interpretation just to the media. You have to have a kind of verification. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. Or you who believe, when you hear a news, good or bad, verify it. What is the verification? So at the time of Pharaoh, it wasn't an excuse to say, he misguided us. No. Where is your brain? Why you did not give it a second and a third thought? He was bringing up his points that I am in that control in order to save you from al-afkar al-dakhila, the new ideology or the strange ideology. So I don't want you to be confused with their ideas and their thoughts. And وَحِفَاظًا عَلَى الْوَطَنِ, I want to save the land and to save the nation. Save the nation. Pharaoh initiated so many general big media campaign. A media campaign that was under his control. It wasn't social media like we have now, but it was his different way of media. أن أرسل في المدائن أن أرسل في المدائن حاشرين. Go, he said to his minister, go and tell and seek and look for anyone who can come to show his power and support to Pharaoh and be a strong magician. In that media, he showed that the opposition, شرذمة قليلة, a very little savage people, terrorists, uncivilized. That is how sometimes it's described in the media, uncivilized. Very few savage people, terrorists, uneducated. This is how they put the picture in order for them to give more of approval for themselves. إنهم شرذمة قليلون وإنا لهم لغائظون, and we will overcome them, and we will dispute them, and we will kill them. In the beginning, Pharaoh could convince the magicians that Prophet Musa is a magician. So they will create a certain attitude against him. And you have to put your enemy in a certain way. After you minimize him, after you demonize him, you put him in a certain way so those who will debate with him, those who will fight with him, they will look at him at a certain. So if he is a magician, you are a magician, you are more powerful magician than him. So they have the tendency to go into that challenge and fight him. So, and when he convinced them that Musa is a magician, it means that don't listen to anything he would say, because all what he would say is going to be a magic, which means that it will not be the truth. So the Quran said, وَقَالُوا مَهْمَا تَأْتِنَا بِهِ مِنْ آيَةٍ لِتَسْحَرَنَا بِهَا, whatever sign that you will bring us to تسحرنا, to delude us, فَمَا نَحْنُ لَكَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ, we are not going to believe in you. We are not going to believe in you. Pharaoh could create that attitude in the magicians already. So, when the battle finished and the magician believed in the Lord of Musa, because he won and because they know this is our profession. If this is what he could do, this is beyond what we have been taught and what we have been practicing. So they believed in Allah. Not knowing Allah, they believed in the Lord of Musa. At that point, Pharaoh said to them, آمنتم له قبل أن آذن لكم? I did not give you the permission to believe in someone else. I did not give you the permission to believe in someone else. Now, if they asked him the permission, would Pharaoh give the Israelites the permission to believe in Allah? Of course not. Would he give the permission to his magicians to believe in Allah? Of course not. That is more of restriction and more limitation on what they could do. Then, when they were defeated, and wallahi, everything is being done and happening now, repeated now, but in a different name, just to change the terminology. When they were defeated with Musa, and they believed in Musa and his Lord, what did they say? إِنَّهُ لَكَبِيرُكُمُ الَّذِي عَلَّمَكُمُ السِّحْرَ. Then he was the master, your master who taught you then the magic. Musa is your master then. He is the one then who taught you the magic. He made Musa the master of the magician, and he called them Khaliyat Muhammad, Khaliyat Irhabi, a terrorist cell. It looks like you have worked with him for a long time, and now you are bringing up your plot and your conspiracy. Is that something sometimes we hear? When we fail to catch the truth and to tell the name of what is happening, don't the media and some others who are controlling the media put it in that way? Oh, he is connected to them because they found in his contacts list someone who happened to meet accidentally 5 minutes with someone who happened to know one of the terrorists. They make that connection and they make them one cell and one group. Without any verification, just to make ourselves feel more comfortable. It's more relaxing for us, more convincing to believe in this than to go and verify the truth. Where is the truth? That is exactly what Pharaoh did. What Pharaoh did. So what did Pharaoh say at the end? He said definitely. He changed that from the truth factor or truth seeker and searcher into fight on the land. He said, "Inna hada la sahirun alim." This is such about Musa. This is such a knowledgeable magician. يريد أن يخرجكم من أرضكم بسحره. He wants to take you out, push you out of your land through his magic. فماذا تأمرون? Now Pharaoh is taking the permission. He is checking with his people. What would you like me to do with Musa? What would you like me to do with Musa? He killed thousands and hundreds of thousands of little kids and women and seniors during decades. But when it came to Musa, and when he felt that his followers, not the magicians, his followers, and the Coptic, the rest of the lay people, were sympathizing with him because he is the powerful, what did he want to ask them? What do you think I should do? Would you permit me to kill him? Would you permit me to kill him? So he was preparing the public opinion in that way. This is all in the Quran. All what you need to do is when you read the story of Pharaoh in the Quran, stop at every verse, at every sentence, and to try to convert the term and try to apply it in our time. This is happening. Prophet Munir, before you came, I was talking about the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When that suffering and killing was happening, there was a decision made in heaven that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled in 40 years. By the time he created Musa and the time he sent Musa to Pharaoh and the situation was changed, it took that decision of Allah 40 years. We are all hopeful that this is not going to continue forever. Brother, the reason why I mentioned Munir is our representative from Gaza. So when we talk about Gaza, we are talking about his family and his extended family. This is not going to continue, and the decision of Allah has been made. We have just to be hopeful and patient. The same way, nobody has any doubt that the sun is going to rise tomorrow and will set today. The same way you believe in this, the same way we believe in the one who is making this happen, we believe that Allah will relieve, will stand with the aggressed and oppressed one, and will defeat the aggressor and the abuser, inshallah, sooner or later. But our attitude has to work for that. You cannot just watch, you have to work. You can work by spreading message. You can work by acting. You can work by, increasing and teaching others. You can work by whenever there is a demonstration, there is a writing, you have a connection to talk or call your congressman and talk to him and tell him your stand. We have to work hard on that one. This fight is coming close to the end, and we want to put our fingerprints in order on the day of judgment, when we stand before the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have something to say. At least we have an answer for his question. What did you do for the oppressed one? You heard, you've seen, you experienced, and then what did you do? Have you reacted at the norm? This is going to be norm. Every day we turn on the Al Jazeera and we see the same pictures. If this is your answer, good luck. If you are going to give this answer before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, good luck. You and him. We doubt that this is going to be. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my dear brother and sister, make all of us from those who listen to the best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brother and sister in Gaza, in Palestine, in the whole Palestine, in Lebanon, in all parts of the Muslim world. All the Muslim world are in chaos. May Allah help them. May the month and the love of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam shower them and take care of them and provide them with the protection and help. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه يغفر لكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. أستغفر الله. الحمد لله حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده، واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له، واشهد ان سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله خير نبي اجتباه وهدى ورحمه للعالمين ارسله. ان الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا ايها الذين امنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد بر. وارض اللهم عن الأربعة الخلفاء السادة الحنفاء ساداتنا وموالينا الكرام أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي. وارض اللهم عن الصحابة والقرابة والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات، المسلمين والمسلمات، الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك يا مولانا سميع قريب مجيب للدعوات. اللهم ارحمنا فإنك بنا راحم، ولا تعذبنا فإنك علينا قادر، والطف بنا فيما جرت به المقادير يا رب العالمين. يا رب increase our حسنات and remove our سيئات. Ya Rab, replace our bad records with good records. Ya Rab, have mercy on those who passed away before us. Give your quick recovery and full shifa to all sick people, Ya Rab al-Alamin. Ya Rab, save the blood of Muslims around this world and bring them back to the way of the Quran and the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله اتقوا الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا